So those were the opening acts of the Republican National Convention. Mitt Romney's wife Ann speaking about the softer side of Willard Mitt Romney, and New Jersey's big man Chris Christie, the governor who usually takes off the gloves. Well, at his keynote address, he was a man with a white-gloved affair and speech. EbruNews' Kyle Schmeier is live in the nation's capital with a look at the next main event, VP Paul Ryan's speech, and a look back at how the other speakers performed. Kyle?
Well, welcome to Washington, D.C. and the Brookings Institute, joined today by political scholar John Hudak. Thanks for joining us. We're going to talk convention, the Republican convention, off to pretty much their first day yesterday, and we saw some very interesting primetime speeches last night. Let's start with Mitt Romney's wife, Ann Romney. How'd she do?
She did pretty well to humanize her husband, and that was the goal of this speech, to make him seem much more approachable to the American public, something that he hasn't conveyed very effectively. She gave what was a well-written speech, but she delivered it like a professional politician, which she's not. And on a grand stage like that, that's a really tough thing for a person to do who doesn't do this regularly.
They really were going after women with her speech last night, trying to make that connection. To the ordinary female voter out there, did she make that connection?
That's the interesting question. I would argue that she really didn't. She still seemed a little bit distant. It was unclear whether the average woman is going to connect to an individual who is extraordinarily wealthy.
Nevertheless, came off very well in the room there in Tampa. A lot of warm response to her. Another big response last night, Chris Christie, governor of New Jersey, came out there fist pumping, clapping. Right. He seemed really pumped up. How'd he do?
He did really well for himself. So essentially, what Chris Christie's speech was last night was not the speech at Romney's convention, it was the speech for his own convention in 4 years. He obviously has eyes on the White House for himself, and he spent most of the time talking about what he's done in New Jersey, how he's worked across the aisle. And then toward the end of the speech, he decided to bring up their nominee, Mitt Romney, almost as an afterthought.
Tonight, in prime time, 10 o'clock, we will see vice presidential nominee Paul Ryan. What do you expect from him? Will he be able to make that connection?
He probably will. You're going to see tonight a really stark contrast between the plans that Romney and Ryan have and the plans that Obama and Biden have. And even though there was a lot of talk last night about how Christie came off too strong or too aggressive, Paul Ryan tonight is going to come off even stronger, even more aggressive, and really draw this contrast in a policy-driven way.
And you think he's going to get a great response from the folks there in the House as well, in Tampa?
Absolutely, and he might be able to connect well to Midwest working-class moderate voters if he strikes the right tone. If he comes off too aggressively, then that might have some pushback, but if he strikes the right tone, it can really do well both for the base and both for moderates.
Another interesting night of television from Tampa, Florida,
Sure.
right? Back to you in the studio.